Hey friends, Mike here. Do you like bass? Well, so do I. In fact, I love bass. That is why I'm going to play with one of my new favorite plugins for electric bass sounds, MODO Bass. It is incredible. Just listen to this quick demo I made. So what is MODO Bass? In short, it is an instrument plugin for electric bass with lots of different bass models as well as presets for various types of bass sounds. So this is not just one electric bass, it is many. And you can also design and control every bass to create your own custom bass sounds. How is that possible? Well, this is not an ordinary instrument plugin. It is based on sample modeling, which means that instead of using thousands of audio files, which are like static photographs, this plugin uses advanced modeling synthesis and algorithms to create the sound. The main advantage of this cutting-edge technology is that it will give you supreme control over how you design, shape, and perform your bass sounds. So let's play with MODO Bass right now. So this is the MODO Bass plugin, so let's dive right in and see how it looks like, the interface, and more importantly, what you can do to shape the sound. So first, up here, you have a range of different models of basses you can choose from. And to be honest, I don't know much about bass models, but I have tried a couple of these and they do have a very distinct, different character in the sound. So let me play the 60s P bass first. And then if I go to the 70s P bass, let's go back. So I feel the 70s P bass is a bit more dark and mellow into the tone. Let's go to, let's say let's go through each, in fact. 70s J bass. All right, a little sharper in the attack. Modern J bass. And by the way, I'm leaving everything else at default because you can actually go and change the playing style, the strings, lots of things with the strings, the electronics, like the pickups, amps, FX, and lots of other things. But let's just first go through each of the basses quickly and see how they sound at the default setting. Devil bass. That has, I actually like this the most so far. It has kind of a growly, angry sound to it. But you never know before you try which bass will suit the specific track you are working on because, well, the final sound is of course the most important. The next one is called Bassman 5. And also you can see this thing is changing here as I move my mod wheel on my MIDI keyboard. And I have to say that this is one of my favorite features because most other bass plugins for some reason put vibrato on the mod wheel, and I basically never do vibrato on bass. So I would much rather control the amount of palm muting just as I do on my electric guitar. And I can do that with this, because if I have it on 0, it's full sustain, and then the amount of palm muting dynamically changes as I increase the mod wheel upwards. If you listen when I play, and now it's fully muted, I think. Well, perhaps it doesn't work like on an electric guitar with palm mute. I'm not a bassist, so... But if I have this all the way up, I can play this like staccato style. And then open it up for like a note to accent it, like... And as you saw, the muting factor plays a big role in the kind of sound you get. So that's the Bassman 5. Now, Ricken bass. I've heard about Rickenbacker. I suppose that's what this bass is modeled after. And by the way, the only thing I'm playing now is with the mod wheel to control the muting. You can also go into the control mode here, and there's lots of different things you can do, like slides, vibrato, bends, and so on. But let's get to that later. Let's go through the actual character of the tone of each bass. Now the studio bass. Right. Violin bass. Well, in fact, it looks kind of like a violin. Let's see how that sounds. So it doesn't really sound like a violin, but I guess it has a violin kind of pickup because it says so here. You can also see all the specifications of the model of the bass. So this is string winding, flat wound. I don't even know what this is. 8 broken in strings apparently. So number of frets and so on. If you are a bass player, I suppose this is good information to have. But for me, I'm all about the sound. So let's go further. The Thunder bass. I love the sound of that name. Let's see how it sounds as the actual tone. Cool. A little more dark and mellow again. Japan bass. And also, of course, the velocity of how hard I press my MIDI keyboard makes a difference. So if I play softly, it's like playing softly or picking the string softly. And if I play harder, you hear the sharp attack and kind of when the strings are buzzing from when you pick the strings. Flame bass, all right? Cool. Then we have Imperial bass. By the way, I just noticed something. Is it that some basses go further down in the bass? Let's see. This actually goes down to B below C1. Let me go back and check that. Yep. In fact, this only goes down to low E, which is an octave below a standard guitar lowest note. So, which goes the lowest? Let's see. Some of them go to... Seems that the low B here below C1 is the lowest. And the last one is called Metal Bass. And what a cool yellow color on this one. Let's see how it sounds. By the way, when I play, I like to move a lot with the mod wheel to control the muting factor, because I think that gives more humanization of the performance. So I basically go very fast up and down in a specific range here on the mod wheel. Alright, so that's all of the bass models. I'm not sure how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 double bass. 11, 12, 13, 14 different models in this version. And perhaps they will come up with more models when they update this plugin later. Let's go on to the next page, which is playstyle. So I have chosen this first bass model to demonstrate with. And here you can choose between 3 different techniques of playing the electric bass, either with your finger, the pick, or slapping. So with your fingers, you get a more softer, more mellow bass sound. With a pick, you get a more sharper, distinct attack. And of course you can slap here. Which always makes me think of the Seinfeld TV show, which had a theme with the slap bass. Let's go back to finger. Here you can control the muting, which you obviously do with the mod wheel if you have set it up in the control panel like I have done. And then you can control, let's see, stroke. I guess this is which finger you use to pick with. Let's see, if I choose pick, I guess you get a different thing here. Stroke, up, down, or alternate. I guess alternate would be the most obvious one. Scratch, normal, hard. I don't hear much difference. In fact, I don't hear much difference which finger use here either. Let's see, touch. Guess this is touch. I'm not sure how much force you use, I guess. Let ring. I see. So when I release the key on my MIDI keyboard, you can let it ring, like the resonance of a string that continues to ring. Fingering first position, here you can force a couple of alternatives, easy. And you can see the positioning down here. Nearest. Open string, off. As you can see, there's lots of options here that possibly do some minor things when you play it, but some of them have a minor difference. Let's see, detach noise. That one I can hear, very obvious. Slide nose, I guess, as well. Nothing. Max. Right, so as you can see, there's lots of options here in the playing style. Let's see, can you change? No, this is something you cannot change, I assume. Or, well, let's see. In fact, we can go to the strings section here, the next one. And let's see, you can actually add strings. Oh, that was cool. So even though this particular bass model only has 4 strings and goes down to low E, if I add a string, it goes down to B below C1. I can add a 6th string. It extended the range upwards, but not downwards. All right. But then I have this drop option. Let's see how much further down the scale we can go. Drop, standard, high, low. I'm not sure. I thought this was drop tuning. I'm not sure what you can set that to, but this was a really cool feature that you can actually add strings to the bass model. It's not like you can do that to a real bass guitar. And then you can set the strings for round wound, flat wound, gauge, heavy strings, light, medium, broken in, old strings, new strings, broken in. So I guess many of the features are very minor details in the sound when you change, but it's really cool that you can actually do this. Let's move on to electronics. Here we can change the pickups on the bridge here. Let's see. They have a couple of different versions. I won't play them all. I think these are, so these are corresponding to the pickups from the actual model bass. So now it's the original 60s. So I can use this bass model by use the pickup on the bridge from the Devil bass. And you can do the same for the neck pickup. Let's do the Ricken B. You can set the volume for both pickups to blend the color as you wish. Piezo. Let's see. I'm not a bass player, so I'm not sure what that is referring to. Circuit, then they have a simple EQ for the tone. Tone, bass, middle, treble. Let's see, can you move? Oh, you can move these pickups as well. That is so cool. I mean, oh, I see. So the crackles you heard is from me trying to play while I do things that messes with the algorithm, I guess. Alright, so move first, then play. So let's move on to the amp and FX section. Let's see, solid state tube. Kind of a letdown, only 2 amps to choose from. I hope they are the best. We have a solid state and a tube. I'm a fan of tube gear, so I'm actually not loving the sound of the bass model right now. Perhaps I messed things up by doing lots of things here with the pickups. You can actually reset bass to default, and I get the original pickups and everything else. Right, so let's get back to the amp FX section. Tube or solid state? Solid state. So you can definitely hear a more warmer and, well, as all analog gear, it has kind of a cloudy character, not as sharp and distinct and crystal clear. So if you want a really tight and controlled low end, I guess solid state is better. And then you have gain. Let's drive this. Let's drive the tubes, in fact. Oh yeah. I love distortion. Let's see, let's dial it down for now. Then you have the tone controls for the EQs. Punch? What's punch? Let's dial that up. I think it's punch is kind of compression or something. Harm, is that harmonizing? Let's dial down the distortion for now. I'm not actually sure if it adds like harmonics from distortion or what that button does. Let's see, you have amp, DI, you can blend between the two in a master fader here. Let's see, I can also see, that's so cool. So let's see, I can switch between, now this is the tube, this is the solid state, so there are 2 amps to choose from. If I click there, on the basis you go back in the interface. That's a really, really quirky feature, but I love it. Really nerdy. So you can see this picture, this is what you have to choose from. Let's see, so these are the controls here, and the bass amp, the basses, and finally the effect pedals. Let's see what we have. We have octaver, distortion, chorus, compression, delay, envelope, filter, and a graphic EQ. So basically the bread and butter effects. Let's put an octaver on it. Oh yeah! Bass with a sub-bass octave. I mean, that's mean. That is mean. Let's see. I suppose you can you have more than 4, or can you reduce? Let's see. I'm not sure if you can actually reorder or something. Doesn't seem as flexible with the pedals. So I can choose which one. Let's start with distortion, then go into an EQ, then an octaver, then let's say no delay. Let's do compression at the end. I'm not sure. Does it go in this chain like right now? And you can set different kind of knobs for each pedal, so they have drive on distortion. Tone, drive and tone. Let's add a bit of distortion. The EQ, let's dial down some of the low bass there because I am going to add an octaver. Let's dial down some of these sharp mids. Why doesn't the octaver... Oh, I see. So if you double click it's on, it's supposed to be yellow here. That's actually not very clear in the user interface, in my humble opinion. So, but now I have learned it by making mistakes, as we all do. So now we have finally the octaver blend. Now that's all octavers. I guess with the octaver you can actually play super low. Because if I do the blend on 10, it's only the octaver. But let's just blend in a hint of sub-bass. Then for the compression, lots of compression. awesome tone. And it is really as easy as that. So these settings for strings and play how the strings are broken in and stuff like that are not as heavy on controlling the tone as, of course, the bass model and the amps and effects. Those will obviously shape the tone and character much more. And finally, my favorite section, the very best thing of this modeling technique instead of sampling notes and playing back those audio files, which is basically what sample libraries does. The control panel. So here you can set up lots and lots of different things. You can choose to have, and by the way, if other manufacturers and developers are watching this, please, please, please make more of this. Give us, the users, control over how you set up your instrument in order to get a good performance. I want to choose that. I don't want it to be hard-coded to like, oh, you do this on the modulation wheel or this on this key switch. I want to be able to control it as I wish. So really good by IK Multimedia for making this happen in this plugin. So here you can, for example, have, let's say, a slide on, and then they have some pre-made options here like aftertouch. So if I play, let's say, aftertouch, by the way, is when some MIDI keyboards support this, is if you press further after you have pressed the key, it activates aftertouch mode. So if I'll play C, and then I press it harder down. Can't see this, but this is me playing normal. And then I press really hard and let go. And that you can assign to, well, I guess you can assign lots of different things however you wish. So vibrato, if you ever need vibrato on bass, I tend to avoid it because I want my bass to be more controlled and tight. But let's put that on aftertouch and remove that. So let's go up so you can hear it more clearly. So this is C, C3. And if I press hard, activating the vibrato, you can hear it like so. So I have muting on CC1. By the way, CC is various values in MIDI that you can control, for example, on sliders and knobs on MIDI gear. So CC1 is always the modulation wheel on a MIDI keyboard. So again, that is the muting. You can also change a lot of these key switches. You have ghost notes, harmonics. I want to try harmonics. Let's see. I'm not sure what I'm going to put it on. Let's put it on C0. So you can either go by hand like so. Let's see. Why can't I learn? So, there. So we have it on C0. C0 is activated. If I let it go, harmonics, super awesome. Harmonics with an octaver and distortion, kind of a strange tone, but I love that they give you that control. You can do strange things because you choose to do it. So what is my overall impression? Honestly, MODO bass has replaced all my other electric bass libraries. It has gone directly into my master project template inside the bass group, as you can see here. Why? Well, because it gives me supreme control to shape and design my complete bass sound and performance. And this is not something a sample instrument can ever do, because unlike sample modeling, sampling is essentially like frozen images of sound, while sample modeling is more similar to synthesizers, which gives you much more control over the sound design. Personally, I love to be in total control over my sounds, and I'm sure you do too. Now, if you want to learn more about MODO bass, I have included links for you in the video description. And finally, I want to thank IK Multimedia for supporting my channel with their great instrument. Awesome! Now check out my bonuses and special links in the video description, and I will see you in the next video.